paisanos. Welcome to the Super Mario Brothers Wait a minute. That's totally the wrong intro. You guys know where you're at. You found the show. You know who I am. You know what's going on here. Guys, I'm super stoked. Today, I have a super awesome guest. I talk with Alex Hooper, who just burned the panel of judges alive on America's Got Talent. He's incredible. He's an amazing comedian. He's just a super stand-up guy. We had an awesome conversation. The dude just has a lot of great stories to tell, and he does so many awesome things. I'm really excited to have him here on the show today. And we even found out that we were at the same show for Melissa Villesenor a few months ago. Melissa did a outdoor comedy show at the Baseball Diamond Studio City, and we were both there, and we had no idea. Small world, huh? So we get into all sorts of cool stuff. Can't wait for you to hear it. I don't really have any ads on this one. Nobody is sponsoring this show. But if you would like to, I will take your money. So please drop into my DMs. On that note, please check out the Patreon. It's patreon.com/FauxRealPod. Nope, it's just Faux Real. That's right. Yeah, it's just Faux Real. And, on Patreon, we do all, by we, I mean I, because I do all the things for this show, as you are well aware, and I've said it a million times. I'm a one-man band, baby. So, check out the Patreon for all sorts of exclusives and, cool stuff. And it's real cheap. I think the buy-in, I think the low tier is $5. So, yeah, check that out. And I would also like to point you to, I put up some new cool stuff, some cool links on my new link tree, which is linktr.ee/ my name, Devlin Weiler. All right, guys. This conversation with Alex is a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get right to it. Here is my awesome conversation with Alex Hooper. Alex Hooper, thank you so much for joining me here on Faux Real. It's super cool to have you here. I saw both of your performances on AGT, and I mean, I agree with so many people who were leaving comments on your videos. Like I totally would have given you the golden buzzer. I think you're one of the funniest motherfuckers that's ever been on the show. And you just say it like it is. The panel deserved it, and you gave it to them. Kudos.
Yeah, thanks. I actually thought you were going to go the other way when you're like, I was reading the comments, and I got to say, I agree with 90% of those people that hate your guts. Yeah. They are. I am a menace to society, apparently, according to a lot of these people.
Also agree.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, and I love it all. I mean, yes, I understand that show is not necessarily the right place for me to be showcasing my comedy, but that's what makes it so fun, is that I push it as far as I possibly can with the producers and the executives to let me get away with this stuff, and they really do allow me to be myself and just showcase a different style of roasting and comedy in general on the show.
Yeah, which I think is brilliant. I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I was watching a bunch of your other videos too, and I love your work, man. I really do.
Thank you.
I'm gonna blast you later. Don't worry. I've got it.
Please do.
I've got it ready to go.
Yeah, by all means, roast
all
me
right,
up, dude.
Well, let's just go for it. Let's get this out of the way. I mean, because much like your appearance on New Girl, both your face and your comedy is kind of like a kick in the penis. I mean, as the host of the Achilles Heel podcast, you think you would have found your own and stopped doing comedy in 2009.
Oh.
If Jeff Ross is the Roastmaster General, then you'd be a private first class, as it should really be your first priority to keep your comedy private.
I'm so glad you did work for this.
Listen, I mean, I've heard that you're the poster child for pugs. You even had your pug calendar shown on the Ellen DeGeneres show. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'll give it to you that you're certainly pugnacious, but your comedy is really for the dogs. You made your second appearance on AGT this year, and the only reason you didn't get booed off stage is because there wasn't anybody in the audience.
Damn straight. That's just facts right there. I mean, that one doesn't hurt me at all. Like I was so ready to go back and laugh in that audience's faces and swing my tail all over again, and then they weren't even there for me to do it.
How was that experience? I mean, I know how it was the first time, but how was the experience of being on the stage and performing without anybody in the seats?
By the first time, do you mean like 2018 when I was massively booed by the entire crowd? Yeah, I mean that was a very singular experience that I'll probably never go through anything that harsh again as far as a performance goes.
They didn't know how good you were, obviously,
Well, I mean, but you know what? That makes it so much better though, doesn't it? Is like if they weren't this angry at me and they were just kind of just like taking it or just kind of nonchalant about the performance, it wouldn't have gone as viral as it did, because it's just me staring them down the entire time and never breaking character and just zinging again and again and again. And then to go back with no audience, I mean, it was rough. I mean, it was a whole different circumstance of just like, God, this sucks all over again for a completely different reason. And I'm so grateful to be on the show. But I mean, when you watch my first performance of 2020, it doesn't have that sting that first one had in 2018 because there's no audience. And like the jokes are good, the judges get it, but without hearing that massive crowd behind it, it just doesn't seem like I'm doing very much, But I will say that's what led me to develop the act for the live shows, the quarterfinal round, that I think was far and above my best performance of all three of them on the show.
It was really good. Yeah. I watched it a couple times today because it was.
It's fun. It's
truly
silliness. It's that's what what's so funny is like all these people. I get all these angry messages and comments and stuff like that about like, how dare you? You're ruining. Do you think it's okay to bully? What are you teaching children? And like literally one of my opening lines in that set is, without having an audience, how would the peasants get mad? I'm literally inviting you to eat out of my hands while we do, and they still don't get it. Like, to me, it's just like, I just want to be like, you are fucking morons. Like, this is why the country is in the state that it is right now, because people like you have no idea what satire is and take everything literally. I'm wearing a onesie and a fur coat. I'm in a throne, goddammit.
Hot.
Like,
so hot.
How do you, thank you. It was very hot on that stage. But how do you not understand? But that's what I said. I watched that. I'm like, how does anyone think this is serious? It's too fun.
And I think, watching it back, I think Simon did enjoy it the first time.
100% he did.
I think he loved it because he was making that move. He had that expression like, listen, you guys can kiss my ass. I'm putting him through, and then
Well, actually, the thing is, he did vote for me in 2018.
Yeah.
You don't see that in the clips that are most of the clips that are available online because they cut off the actual judging
Right.
section. But the judging section is great in the first one because, like, Howie just goes, no. And Mel B goes, no, he's a bitch. And I go, takes one to know one. And then she gives me another face. And then Heidi says, like, well, I hope whatever aggression, I hope you got your anger out, but no. And then Simon goes, yes, it is 100% a yes from me. And then I
Nice.
found out I'm the only person in the show's history to have a yes from Simon while getting a no from everyone else. And
Wow.
that's a badge of honor that I wear very proudly because
Hell
honestly,
yeah.
Simon is the tastemaker on that show.
Right.
He is the one that actually makes careers happen.
Yep.
And, he's the one who's built these billion-dollar stars. So when he sees something in you, even when nobody else does, I was like, oh, I did something right. Something happened. Something good happened here.
For sure. Well, I will tell you, I am auditioning for the next season.
Congrats.
Well, don't congratulate me yet.
No, dude, look, just auditioning is a huge deal because so many people are afraid to do it or they think they're not going to make it through, whatever they may be. But my thing is like, dude, you knock on every single door until you find ones that open for you. And then even if you don't know what's behind the door, just go in there and go see for yourself. Because, dude, 3 years ago, if you told me that I would have been on America's Got Talent now 6 total times, 3 performances, gone viral, had it helped make my career what it is, I would have been like, I'm sorry, did I change everything I'm doing in comedy? Have I completely gone against everything I believe in? I wouldn't understand how I got here, And that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you're going to go on and do it, are you doing comedy?
Yes, I actually have. I have a tight 5. I'm going to do a song and some impressions. I'm still.
Well, you got to get it down to 2, buddy. You got to get it down to a tight 2.
Well, right. What? Yes. Yeah. Right. But I'm going to throw the proverbial spaghetti at the wall and see if any of them hit.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've had a lot of guests on this show in my previous podcast from AGT. I love talking to performers across the board about their artistry and their experience of being on that stage, because it really is the biggest variety stage in all the land.
Yep.
And I'm a lifelong performer. I get off on it. I always have, and just being ridiculous and outlandish and
Speaking my language
as possible, just like you do. And I wanted to talk to you about this too, because again, I was watching everything you've ever done earlier, and so besides being a lauded comedian, a talented actor and a live comedy performer with impeccably outlandish presence, you are also a slackline walker.
I am.
Recently doing so blindfolded.
Yeah, that was probably about a little over a month ago. I was having a really bad day. Like things just weren't lining up like they were supposed to. And I forget, I'd gotten some sort of bad news and I was in one of those moods. And I was like, okay, whenever I'm one of those moods, I try to go take it out and just go, like I walk on a slack line. It balances me. It relaxes me. It really keeps my head focused on other things and really can take me out of a bad mood. It's a meditation practice for me. But that day, I don't know what came over me. Like, I just suddenly thought, like, I'm feeling really good about this, and I'm just going to try to start walking it blindfolded. And I've tried that a little bit here and there, but never made it more than a few steps. And I don't know what happened. I just relaxed, and something clicked, and I could see everything around me. I could see the line. I could see the tree on the other side. I could feel the space. And it was like 3 tries, and I crossed 50 feet without without taking off the blindfold. It took almost 2 minutes for me to do it, which without wearing a blindfold, I would cross that. Well, without the blindfold, I could cross that in probably about 25 seconds, like, if I really wanted to. So, I mean, it was a much slower process, but so gratifying. And one of those moments where it's like, I amazed myself again. How can I keep doing this so I keep growing as a person and a performer?
That's incredible. I mean, that's really awesome. How long have you been doing that? I mean,
like over 3 years. Like,
okay.
yeah, I started in 2017, and I've just been doing it ever since. It started like once a week, and now if I can, I try to do it like at least twice a week. It's really, and I'm not trying to do crazy tricks and things like that. I have tried to highline once, which is when you do it at a very high, like I was like 75 feet up between a canyon, and I was wearing a harness and a leash, so like I did fall off and like take those whips, and like in that moment, the first time it happens, you literally are just like, it's just like, because you just see yourself tumbling into this abyss.
Yeah.
And then you feel yourself bounce and catch. And when I realized I was okay, there's this great video where I'm just like, okay. I'm okay. And then I'm like, fine, after that. But I mean, it's just another thing of like, I feel like I face these fears and I stare them head on. And after my performance in 2018, I was like, I don't have to be scared of anything ever again. Like, this is a nightmare situation in so many ways. This would break a lot of people, strip them to their core of everything that they've ever thought of themselves as a human being. And I still was able to be like, no, just chalk it up to a learning experience. Nothing will ever be like that again. Use it to make you stronger and go back out there and do it again. And walking on a slack line, and especially doing it blindfold, is just another one of those things of like, if you can do this, what can't you do? There are no limitations.
Absolutely. Bravo to you, man. That's what a great place to have your mind and spirit focused on. You know what I mean? That's a really good place to be.
Well, these practices are important, man. I'm sure as a performer, like we're always firing in 1,000 different directions.
Right.
Every synapse is going, okay, what can I do to create? How can I perform? Where can I go? Who can I entertain? And then
Yep.
just to have something where it's like, this is just me in a park by myself, maybe with a friend or two. But for the most part, it's a very just like, it's a very individual experience, and it really does allow me to just completely dissolve into something else when I'm up there. And a lot of times I'll stay up there. I mean, today the air quality obviously sucks in LA today, I mean, you go out there, it looks like a cigarette smoker's teeth. It's brutal, but
Yep.
I haven't been outside in 5 days. So I was like,
Gross.
I need to go outside today. I can't do any more apartment exercise. So I stayed on for an hour today, and before the air started really like feeling shitty and thick. But typically that's what I'll do. I'll go out there, I'll be on the slack line for 1 to 2 hours without falling off, and then with headphones on or having music playing nearby, and and then I get off, and it's just this, I feel reborn in a lot of ways. I feel very accomplished and centered.
That's amazing. Do you? I know you did some jokey yoga videos, but do you do yoga as well for real? Do you do meditation?
Not usually, to be honest. Meditation, yes. I've done a lot of yoga in the past. Now typically I only do it at like music festivals and things like that. Remember those music festivals? Those were a thing we used to go to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't do a lot of yoga, which is funny because I have the pug yoga calendar, obviously, which is me doing yoga all over LA with my pug.
That's
But meditation is every day for me. I started about 2 years ago, and I used to think like, okay, when I started slacklining, I was like, cool, I don't have to meditate now because this is my meditation. But then I learned like it is totally different to just sit quietly for 10 to 20 minutes at a time and just listen to yourself breathe and just try to let thoughts kind of enter and release in the same way. And that really has helped me. So I made a few like funny meditation videos to help people get started. And they're not meant to like really, they are meant to make you laugh and they are meant to relax you, but they're not meant to be like a thing you do all the time. It's just, I think a lot of people could really use meditation. What really got me into it is I was listening to all these podcasts, like inspirational podcasts, and every single hugely successful person, they were like, what do you do? And they're always like, well, meditation, one. And it's like, man, everyone just keeps saying it. Everyone. And then I learned that it builds immunity and helps keep you present and allows more thoughts to come in and clear the bullshit out. And suddenly I was just like, why can't I give myself 10 minutes in a day to just shut the fuck up and sit there? And I think honestly, dude, I was scared. I was scared of letting the demons come in and the bad thoughts. And I'm someone who always has to be moving and going at 100 miles per hour. To literally sit and pause and just like breathe, I was scared of it. And like anything else, when you're scared of something, I say fucking run into that burning building and grab whatever you need and get the fuck back out of there so you can learn why you're doing it. And, discomfort is how we grow. And that's important. You shouldn't always feel comfortable.
Absolutely. I've picked up a lot of my own personal techniques. I tried TM for a while, and I did it. Of course, my problem is to catch an eternal catch-22, where it takes so much focus to get there and make sure that I have the time to take myself to that place. And I sort of fell off, but I do try to, take that 5 to 10 minutes before I go to bed as I'm falling off into dreams, and just, I know my mind is going to scatter, and I let it scatter, and I let it spider web, and I let it, I used to get really upset with myself of, just shut up, mind, just shut up already. But then I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. It's part of the human condition. It's definitely part of my condition. I need to let myself have those thoughts. I need to let, and that, of course, at the, 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night is when you have your best sketch idea, your best, it's when you come up with your best bit, and then, I gotta make sure and write that down,
Of course.
So it's,
I will say, like, but you're right. I mean, one thing about it, and I don't know, like, if your listeners, like, if you've talked about this before or anything like that, but one thing about it is, like, you're not doing it wrong because thoughts are entering and you start thinking about them. The whole idea is that, of course, thoughts are going to come in when you're sitting quietly and
right.
still. Of course, you don't just turn off your brain and imagine and then you just sit there. Things are going to come in. But what happens is they come in and you say, do I need to stay here, or do I need to just flush you out? And the best thing you can do is just go back to if you realize you're thinking too much about external shit, you just go back to deep breaths, and then it will just slowly remove itself, and then something else will come in. But you don't worry about that stuff. You don't think about it. And I heard it really said really well when Paul McCartney was like studying with this like really famous meditation teacher, and he's like, but what if I come up with a brilliant song while I'm meditating? And the guy was like, and the meditation teacher was like, then go write down the song, Paul. You're a songwriter. Like, don't just let that go. But if that's not coming, just stay in it as long as you possibly can. And I mean, that for me, 10 minutes is usually fine. Sometimes I'll do 20. Last night, I didn't like set an alarm or anything like that. And I just sat there and I was really deep in one. I did 35. But that's pretty rare for me to go that long. I was also really stoned. So I was just kind of playing with the visuals that were happening in front of me. So I was like, I was breathing in a weird pattern to kind of give myself these visualizations and hyperventilate and making my bones like tingle, feel that warm glow all over you.
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
like a really good bowel move.
Yeah, that's it, dude. Just hold on to the sides and let it shoot.
That's right. Let it all out.
Yeah.
You've been performing since, well, you started stand-up around 2009 officially.
March 9th, 2009.
Awesome. And you've had numerous appearances throughout the country. You've gone on a lot of tours. You're going on you'll be in Florida a lot, it looks like, next year. I saw on your website. Is that right?
I have 1 week. I have 1 weekend right now at Side Splitters in Tampa. There's like my tour dates are very slowly starting to come back again. Because that's one hard part about I'm on this major TV show that would open me up to so many opportunities of touring, and right now it couldn't be harder
Yeah,
to go
nothing
out
is
and
open
do
here.
it.
Right.
So I'm really looking toward like the deep future. So right now I only have dates. I mean, I'm in San Diego this Friday just for one night. But for the most part, I have dates in like Nebraska in December, Tampa in April, DC next October, not even this next month, but like 15 months away. So things are starting to come back. But man, I miss it so much. Like I love touring. I love being on the road. I love going to new towns, having new experiences, eating whatever their fucking famous food is, meeting people after the shows, and just continually just like I don't know. There's so much time when you're on the road. You're working for 1 to 2 hours a day, whether you're doing one or two shows, and the rest of the time is just yours to exist. I can write, I can take walks, I can exercise, I can go to museums, I can go to a county fair, whatever the hell I want to do. And that time is so valuable to me, knowing that I have something to do that night. That's one thing that's been really hard about quarantine is like, this time has been great. I'm super relaxed and I've been getting stuff done, but I've also have really hard days where I just don't know what the fuck to do with myself, and I don't know how to get this energy of performing out of not performing out of me, and I'm sure you felt the exact same way.
We're all there. Absolutely. I, you know, I, I think it's all different versions of the spiral that we've all been going through since the middle of March. And today I was jazzed as hell to get going with this, and then you know, uh, of
Dude,
course, something had to happen. I
but
was
you know what?
I was
Blessing in
super pissed.
disguise. Blessing in disguise, because my upstairs neighbor was
Oh, they
for
were going.
hours today was using like a floor sander or
Oh,
something like that, and all I could hear was
oh,
and this happened to me in a Zoom comedy show like 2 weeks ago where he was doing it, and they literally I was hosting the show and they were like, Alex, you got to turn off your mic, dude. I was like, I'm hosting the show. What do you
oh
want from me?
no.
But like, I mean, that's just it was, he stopped like right before we started doing this. So whether it was on your end or on mine, either way, we're doing it exactly the right moment.
Excellent. I love it. I love it when a plan comes together finally.
They always do. The universe tends to unfold as it should.
Yeah. Um,
I read a lot of personal development bullshit.
no doubt. Um, you've besides live performances, you also you have a lot of really cool actor credits, like the aforementioned New Girl. I did watch the entire episode because why not?
Sure.
You know, um, it
I
was
appreciate that.
it was so funny.
Oh,
Was that
man.
fun? Was that a good experience for
Dude,
you?
it was a blast. I hadn't booked a job in 4 years when I booked that role. So I was just in this heavy just streak of like going to auditions and just basically I hadn't given up, obviously. I'm still going to all of them. But you get to this place where you're like, well, nobody wants me. So at what point is somebody gonna look at me and go, there, that's the guy? And to have that moment where you get cast is one thing, but then I showed up to shoot and they liked me so much on set that day that at the end of the day, they were like, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, whatever you want me to be doing.
That's
And
always
they were
the
like,
answer.
great.
Yep.
Yeah, and the director was like, great, we love you, we want you to come back and do some more, just kind of like this. You might have some lines, but we might just be throwing you into some different situations. And for me to just be back on set on a show that was not only popular but also popular, I think, for the right reasons. That show is quite funny, the characters are great. Zoe Deschanel has been a crush of mine forever,
And
and she's a pug person. So we literally, her
is
and I
she?
were shooting something together, and we just sat on set going, oh, you want to see more pictures? Here's mine. Here's mine. Let me see yours.
Oh, that's so
And
great.
I was just sitting with her going like, how am I sitting with Zoe Deschanel just gushing about pugs right now? Like, that's one of those moments where you just go like, I don't know what I did to get here, but I've made the right moves somehow to put myself in this situation.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I've loved her ever since was it
Or like Elf.
Elf? Yeah, it had to be Elf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, she's just, I mean, she's just one of those, she's got one of those just faces, and her voice and her whole attitude about life, kind of just like, I don't give a shit, whatever. Like, you know, a lot of people are like, it is annoying and I don't find it attractive at all. And I'm like, well, I do.
Hold on now.
Yeah, if there's one thing, people, I have a type, and it is doe. It's women who have doe eyes and a bitch face. And if I look at you, like, you know, like Mila Kunis has it, Anne Hathaway has it, January Jones has it, Scarlett Johansson has it, Zooey Deschanel. They're all these very similar, like they have these great big eyes and just this face that looks like they could cut you at any second.
Burning lasers through your nostrils. Yeah.
I'm into it, dude. Hot. Like, that's what I don't want safety. I want to know that in my sleep, you might just decide to cut out my kidney and take a bite of it and just throw it back in there. That's what keeps me going.
Just stream down your chin. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Yeah. I've watched and listened to everything Mila Kunis has ever done. She's
unbelievable.
She will be on this show eventually. You just wait, my friend.
We are manifesting it right now that Mila Kunis will be on this podcast. I promise you that. We'll get you there. Hey, and you might get some Jack Daniels on the side of it, or is she Jim Beam or Jack Daniels? I can't remember now. I think it's Jack Daniels. She has those commercials where she's just like standing amongst all the barrels and just like, and I'm just like, yeah, go ahead, pour another one.
She can stand next to my barrels anytime.
Anytime.
Anytime. I want to talk a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah. I'm happy to.
Achilles Heel, right? It's called, and how long have you been doing that?
So I did it for almost a year and a half, about a year and 4 months. I had like 67 episodes or something like that out. And I was about to take a little break on it anyway, because of all these other external factors, like AGT. I was about to record another album. I had all this stuff going on. I was like, you know what? I need to take a little break from this and then come back. And it just so happened it perfectly aligned with quarantine. And I was like doing it in studio. So I was like, I cannot ask people to come sit in a tiny room with me. But because of that, I've had this break from it, I'm about to go back. I actually have a meeting tomorrow to figure out the best way to do it through Zoom. I got a new microphone that plugs into my computer. So just like you're doing, you find a way to continue without when, you know, all this is going on. And why I love the project so much, why I love the podcast is it is literally about your Achilles heel. So I ask my guests, what is the number one thing in your life that has fucked you up more than anything? This is the thing that has caused you to be who you are. It has shaped you. You've had to battle it. It has formed who you are as a person because it's always on your mind. And let's break it down and talk about it openly and laugh about it. My opening line of the podcast is the first thing we discuss is the last thing you want to talk about. So let's say you, Devlin, have horrible anal warts and you cannot ever take your pants off. You can't go to the pool. You can't sit down.
No, I mean,
very intuitive.
I'm wearing a diaper right now.
Right. I mean, that's all the meditation. Things just come to me and then I understand. And that's why I almost
pants,
threw away.
But a diaper. Yeah.
Right. Of course. Obviously.
That's why everything is shoulders up here.
Yeah. You don't want to soak a chair. You know what I mean? You can sit in it.
This is leather. I mean, it's faux leather, but you know.
It still works. I mean, we're on the Faux Real podcast, so it's all faux, right?
Exactly.
Bam. So I do think these are very important conversations, and I do love having them because, like, one thing, obviously people like you can see it, and a lot of people see it, but a lot of other people that see me only on America's Got Talent or like Roast Battle, they just think I'm some kind of prick. They think I'm just this asshole that just wants to spread mean things, and it's just not true at all. It's just all fun.
And you are, but in a delightful way.
Exactly. Like it's all, I think, if you don't own your flaws own you. And that's why the podcast goes so well with my personality, is because I bring in these amazing guests. We've had comedians and DJs and artists and writers and models and all kinds of incredible people that just want to talk about this thing that should be considered shameful. And I think the more we open ourselves up to have these conversations, I've gotten so many like messages from fans that are like, oh, I'm so glad to hear this person talk about epilepsy, because I have epilepsy and I don't know who to talk about it with. I've never heard people just joking about the fact that I can't drive or whatever it may be. And so all these things, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever your thing may be that has been blocking you in some way, we try to open that up and just find a way to be like, it's normal. It's all normal, no matter how weird and horrible you think it is. Every single person you see is battling something. And maybe it's an invisible force, or maybe it's as obvious as you don't have a fucking leg, but whatever it is, we need to talk about this stuff and stop trying to hide from it. And I'm so excited. I think I'm going to do my first episode probably in about 2 to 3 weeks, my first episode back. And I just can't wait to really just have that therapy again in my life, because that did become a form of therapy for me. How often, this, how often do we just look at another person and for an hour and a half and just talk and just let it come? Never anymore. This is it. Exactly. And I ask people that. I ask friends of like that aren't like entertainers and stuff that don't have podcasts. I was like, when was the last time you turned off your phone and sat and looked at someone for 90 minutes and had a real conversation? And you know what most of them will say? I've never done that before. Which is insane to me. This is how we connect.
That's not surprising at all. And just even in the before times, there are a rare few people that I've ever just really sat down and had an open, honest conversation with, and just let myself be completely full of candor, which is exactly why I do this show, because I like to find out who the people really are. And I knew when I I
know
your dog saying hello in the background. But this is my chance to really get inside a person's brain, and not only about their artistry, but about their spirit.
And I think it's a beautiful thing to do. I mean, showing vulnerability. Carlton, shut up. Here, you want to see? There.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hi, buddy.
There he is. Hey, Carlton. Hey, Carlton.
Hi, Carlton. Hi, buddy.
He does not like me doing podcasts. I'm not paying attention to him. If he was interviewing me, he'd be super stoked about it. But I think showing vulnerabilities is so important to understanding how powerful you are. People think that there's this big thing where just like you hold everything in as men and you don't let anything out because that's how you show strength. And that's completely opposite. You show strength by showing that you are a human being who has flaws and who has problems and you have to deal with, and that you overcome those things. One of my favorite things people say to me on about America's Got Talent is like, how can that guy wear that outfit and talk shit about anybody? It's like, that's the fucking point. Yeah. I have opened myself up to be a goddamn clown. You can annihilate me right now if you want to. I am wearing a skin-tight onesie with a nude onesie underneath, so you don't see every single thing that's happening on my body right now. Like, I couldn't be more ridiculous. And the fact is, people still don't realize what I'm doing.
Right over their heads. Yeah.
Right. But you know what, man? Like, here's the thing. Like, I mean, you're an AGT fan, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you are in a rare minority where you are an AGT fan who understands all different types of acts and that everyone kind of has their own place on the show. Whereas 99% of the people that are watching that show and see someone like me, I am a terrifying wild card to them.
No doubt.
because they have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm being quote unquote rude and ignorant and mean. But you know, it's funny. These people send me these messages like, you're the worst person I've ever met. And then I look at their profile and it's them in front of a Trump flag, you know, and it's just like, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I would think you guys would be my biggest fans.
Right. I mean, they had a lot of cool acts that I had never seen before. I mean, I know you did the show before, but other than you, I don't know that I've ever seen any other roasters, not ones that were any good.
Yeah, I mean, they had,
Ones
I mean,
that were
after,
memorable enough that they stand out. You know what I mean?
yeah, there was a kid on BGT that did it like years ago named Ned Woodman, and he did really well on the show. He made it like to the finals. And then after me, they had JJ Pantano, the 7-year-old Australian kid, and he got the golden buzzer in Australia doing the exact same thing that I did. And then they brought him here for the champion show, and he made it all the way to the semifinals. And people always go like, this guy's just mean. You want to see what a good roaster is? Look at JJ Pantano. And look, I got nothing against the 7-year-old. I'm very comfortable with myself. But don't compare my jokes and my stage presence and my charisma to a 7-year-old.
Right.
Like, that's just like, you know, they're like, he did it well. He would never say anything wrong. And that's what people say. And I'm like, I watched, they're like, Ned Woodman did it right. I'm like, well, he called that host, that female host, he called her a dog. So is that the right thing? No, it's just people think because I'm an adult, I can't get away with this shit. But if you're a kid, you should, because you don't know any better. You're just being adorable with your dad writing your jokes, you know? And I just think it's all just so funny to me. And the fact is, to me, I only watch the show a few times. Like, I've watched both of my seasons and little things in between when I have friends on. What I find is that my favorite acts every single year get voted off because the crowd doesn't understand the complexity of what they are doing. I mean, this season, you look at someone like Malik Dope, the drummer, he's stepping it up every single performance, doing it bigger and better, and doing something that is so original and so cool to watch. And yet, who does he lose to? A singer who was in prison for 37 years, who has a good voice. Does he have an amazing voice? No, he's got a good voice. He's a great singer, but he's not doing what Malik Dope was doing by any means. He's going through because of his story, not because of that. And those are the things where it's like, you know, I understand why we have the sob stories. I understand that America needs to get behind these people for different reasons. But sometimes I think, like, if we only saw the talent first and you didn't bring in the story part of it until later in the season, then maybe some of these people wouldn't get the exposure that they would. And other people who I think are maybe more deserving would make it further along in the show, because you're going just off what you're seeing on the screen, not off the fact that you used to live in your car and suck dick for crack, you know what I mean, whatever it may be.
Right.
You know, I got
a lot of people do just fine doing that, and that's totally okay. But you know,
if that was your talent, I'd be all over it. If you came out in a car and then one of the judges came up and was like, yo, I got $5, and you just started sucking his dick, I'd be like, golden buzzer right here. Bam. Let it all come down. Get it, and then wash it all over you.
From one golden buzzer to another. I mean,
dude, I got it. I haven't told anybody this. Like, I mean, I told like my Twitter and stuff like that. But yeah, you're getting exclusive right now. I got in trouble with AGT the first week of the quarterfinals because after one of the contestants did a sob story, I tweeted, before my live performance, I'm gonna get in a car accident, come out in a full body cast, tell the audience I have cancer, and then I won't even perform and I'll just be in the finals. And literally, dude, 2 minutes later, I get an email from AGT going, Alex,
take that down right now.
Can you take that down? And I was like, oh, sorry, I weird mood, bad day, whatever. And they were like, you know, we're not penalizing you, we're not angry, but you know, it's just like, it's not in great taste. And I was like, you know what? I actually 100% agree with you on that. So but I'm actually glad that it happened that quickly. Like they were just like, Alex, take that shit down. You know what I mean? So that's, but that's the thing is I can't get behind you because you're a story necessarily. The show is America's Got Talent, not America's Had a Hard Life. And
Right.
that's just,
I was just talking with my dad earlier about that, and he said that exact same thing. He said, I would, he used to watch it religiously, and then he stopped watching it so much because he just got tired of the stories and the interims and the ceaseless gawk, talking beforehand and through their acts, and and it drives me crazy too how I understand that they've got to create such a picture and a certain kind of presentation for what they're putting out, but they really, like, some of the acts are so badly edited. Like there was a band I saw a million times on at the Santa Monica Pier, Liliac, I think they're called, like a family act, like metal, just rock the. I mean,
yeah,
they
showed
rock
them for
hardcore.
like they showed them for like 20 seconds this season, right?
Exactly. And they were just, I mean, they were rocking everybody's heads off. I thought it was an incredible performance, but they did one of those things where they were, they had the story of their main, what they considered their main act, like a good act, over Liliac's performance. Right. And I was like, I tweeted several angry tweets about that. Listen, I've seen this band perform, I don't know how many times. They nail it every time. I mean, they're unbelievably talented family, and that was raw. That was cruel. That was.
Well, you know what, man? I mean, I'll counterpoint to this. The fact that they made it on the show at all is a crazy achievement, because I don't know how well you know about this stuff, but about every year, about 75,000 people will send in a tape or audition.
I've stood in line twice.
Right. Yeah. So about 75,000 people will do that. Of them, about 400 will get to go in front of the judges. In a normal year, this year they lost a week of auditions because obviously, but like in a normal year, about 400, about 120 will make it to air in total over the course of the 6 or 7 audition episodes. But they say yes to about 300 people. So there are so many people, and I've had many friends who fit this category who they've told me personally, I got 4 yeses. The entire crowd stood up in a standing ovation. The judges are saying, get ready, your life's about to change. And then they never get a phone call again because there's just too many people. It's like how they oversell the plane. You're like, what do you mean you're overselling the plane? They're like, well, somebody might not show up, so we got to give ourselves options here. And that's what they do on that show, is they say, okay, you were amazing. You were so good. But we have another 15-year-old pop singer who's very similar to you. And honestly, we're going with her because she's a burn victim and she can't show her body and her face and whatever it may be. So, I mean, I've heard that story. I knew 3 comedians this season who made it through the judges round, who made it through the initial audition with yeses and never got seen. And that's just that I feel very fortunate. I'm very grateful to the amount of time that I have been showcased on the show, because every time I was on, they gave me a full piece. It wasn't just like a piece of my like, obviously my audition is pieced together in different ways, but they gave me the lead in, they gave me a little bit of a story, they have shots of
each time.
Yeah, I got the segment. Yeah. And that's a huge achievement to be able to just say that I've done. And the fact that they allowed me back to do it again is kind of insane, to be honest, and very, very brave on their part.
Well, I mean, I'm so glad that they did, because I've really enjoyed your comedy, and you're here.
I'm here
with me
I'm
today.
here.
So,
And I'm happy to be, dude. I love having these conversations because honestly, without live performance right now being so few and far between, these podcasts and these Zoom shows and all that are what's keeping me going, what's keeping me
saves us.
alive right now.
Absolutely. Have you been doing a lot of Zoom comedy over the months?
Oh yeah, lots and lots. And I think it's like the thing is like it scratches an itch. It's not the same. The best way I've heard to compare it is it's methadone to a heroin addict. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
I will take the fix, but I always feel like, and I run a Zoom show every 2 weeks. My friend Sophia and Alexandra and I, we get great comics. We actually have one this Saturday. I don't know when this gets released, but we have one on Saturday. Preacher Lawson's doing it.
Oh, great.
We've had great comics do it. Really good crowds. But no matter what, after every one, you close the computer and you just feel like you just masturbated. You're like, that kind of felt good at the time, but I'm kind of ashamed of myself right now.
Right.
You know, and like you just don't really know how to feel, and then I just walk around my apartment by myself, just going. I'll like look in the mirror and be like, "Good job."
There, and you're
Hey,
like, well, I could clean it up, but I'll just do it later.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I literally like, I'm putting on different outfits, looking in the mirror, like, oh man, you were so funny. I love that one joke you told. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Oh, I didn't know you were there. Oh my god.
Yeah, I've done a few of them. I got to tell you though, I've had, we were talking about spirals, and I've had some pretty deep spirals. Especially
While
lately,
doing Zooms or just in
it just,
general?
uh, uh, unemployment doesn't do much to, help the frowns.
Dude, I've never been unemployed in my entire life. Like literally since I was 15 years old, I've had a job in some form or another. Even this entire time I've been doing comedy, I've been working at Universal Studios as a ticket seller for over 11 years. And these past 6 months, I literally haven't worked. And I'm trying to treat it like as just like a gift from the universe of saying, well, I'm not going to Universal and at least I'm getting this unemployment money. But overall, I'm just like bored a lot, and I hate to say that because you can never complain about, God, I'm just so relaxed. I just wake up and I write in my journal, then I go slackline in the park, and then I there's nothing to complain about except the fact that my entire livelihood was stripped of me within a moment's notice. And luckily I had AGT stuff to work on. I had plenty of time for that, and I don't think I would have given that final performance, I don't think it would have come together with all those elements the way it did without me having this time. But even still, I mean, my blinders are like on. I'm looking ahead. I'm just like, the future, can it be here now?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, you got your buddy behind you.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned your comedy album a little earlier, Hugs, Drugs, Pugs, which
Yep.
actually went to #1 on Amazon, I saw, and #3
Yeah.
on iTunes best-selling comedy albums list. I mean, that's quite an achievement, man.
Thank you. I mean, I was so proud of that album. It took me like I was 8.5 years into comedy when I recorded it. I recorded it at the Meltdown, which is such an institution of
R.I.P.
LA comedy.
That's
I
where I
know
used to
it's.
record the show.
Oh, really?
Upstairs in the Nerdist studio. Yeah, that's where the show's origin began.
Oh, amazing, dude. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even a comic book person, but I loved that shop so much because of what it did for me as a comedian. I started doing the Meltdown show when I was like 3 years into comedy, and Jonah and Kumail just believed in me so much, and they gave me so many opportunities. And every time I went in there, I did a completely different set than the one I had done before, and I kept trying to just up myself and prove it. And there was no other place that I wanted to record that first album. And I'm so proud of those jokes and how it all came together. And Hugs, Drugs, Pugs, those are the three things that opened my heart and expanded my mind. And I thought, like, how am I not gonna pay tribute to that? And it kind of just tells you everything that I am in 3 words. And I was so ready to record my second one, man. April 11th, I was going to Pittsburgh with the same label that did the first one. We were flying out. We had our plane tickets booked. The show was almost sold out. The shows were almost sold out already. And instead, like we said before this podcast, we got to pivot. We got to shift. We got to change with the times. And I can't go, well, I wanted to record an album and now I can't. So what? Then do something else. Figure out another way, and, we can make excuses all day, or we can accept whatever's going on in the world and play the game. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, now more than ever. And I mean, this show has gone through so many transitions. I started there.
There weren't always cardboard boxes behind you?
Well, I used to live in them, so it's definitely several steps up. I praise the Spaghetti Monster every day of my life for being able to have this space and being able to say the following sentence, which is, I have my own bathroom, which is one of the most glorious things that a human can say in their adult life. I mean, it's...
Dude, I hear you. I mean, I live with my fiance. We have a one bedroom apartment, and our definition of success, this is how we define success, is we just want to have double sinks in our bathroom. That is where, if she has a sink and I have a sink, we have made it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I lived in a luxury apartment complex that I had no business living in, right off the 101 in Hollywood, and I had like a huge bathroom counter. Like it was an entire counter, like the size of a kitchen counter, the kind that you see in I don't know, Reese Witherspoon's house or something. And it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. Like I was so, and that shower head, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah. I'm all about a powerful shower head, man.
Oh God. It was a wonder.
That's one thing I don't miss about being on the road is I have a very powerful shower, and when I'm on the road, you have no control over that. And sometimes you get to like a really nice hotel and you turn on the water and it's just like an old man just like spitting on you from like a distance. And get out of here. You're still with me, right? God, yeah. Dude, somehow a phone call came through at that time, which never happens. So sorry about that.
No worries.
But yeah, I mean, dude, I need a powerful shower. Like I want to be destroyed by I want it to take my horrible skin right off my face.
I don't want it just to clean me. I want it, I want to stick it in all the crevices and all the orifices, and it needs to get me there in every sense of the word. That's yes. What shower head is for. Man, I really, going back to Meltdown, like I have so many great memories of that place. I miss it so much, because after I started recording upstairs, then I recorded for a little while downstairs in the Nerdist School. And then when it closed, the Nerdist School moved into the Ruby next door. So I recorded there for a while. And, that place had such a unique magic, especially in the, in the Meltdown Theater and upstairs. And like everybody wanted to record there. I never had any problem getting any guest that I asked for, because they're like, oh, you record in the Nerdist studio. That's
right.
Where Pete Holmes did his show. And I mean, any number of, every comic that you've ever heard of. And man, it's just, ugh.
It's the DIY element of it, right? Is you're like, well, how is this happening? How is the best comedy in Los Angeles happening in the back room of a comic book store on a Wednesday night. I mean, and of course they had things every single night. I'm referring to the Meltdown show itself, which was their flagship, which was like, you know, that's, I mean, you had Robin Williams and Jim Gaffigan and Donald Glover. And I mean, I did that. I have done that show I have been on lineups where I am so at the bottom of that totem pole that I am buried in the ground that I shouldn't even be seen on the totem that I am with. And the reason I loved it so much is because almost every single time I did the show, because of how new I was as a comic, I was always the bottom of the totem pole. And I looked at that show as, you need to step the fuck up right now. You can, these people that might not know who you are, but they know that you're on this show with these other people for a reason. So you need to give them everything you've got right now. And I think it allowed me to just kind of lose that fear of like, wow, so I'm going right after Aziz and right before Jesselnick? Well, I better figure out how to bring it right now as a comic who's 5 years in, you know, working with legends. So it's just a matter of like, you know, it taught me so much to be there. And I was always so appreciative of those guys and Emily and the show and the theater in general.
But now you're part of that legacy, you know?
I was the last album to record in there, and there have been some great ones. There have been some, you know, Guy Branum recorded in there, Hampton Yount recorded in there, Morgan Murphy did a special in there, but I was the last official one to record. So I'm very glad I got it in there in the nick of time.
I saw their absolute final show, and
wow,
that was really something to behold. In fact, I need to go back and pull all of those pictures and, you know, make a retrospective or something.
Dude, I have all 10 of the posters I did from the Meltdown show. I kept every single one of them. I was like, there's no way. These are original works of art. These are awesome prints. You know, I'm on here with people like John Mulaney and, you know, just the biggest, just these huge giant names that I'm on these posters with. I mean, the very first one I did, it's me, Ali Wong, Mark Maron, Sean Donnelly, and I'm talking like I was 3 years into comedy. I barely know who these people are yet, not understanding it all. Obviously, Ali was not what she is now. I mean, Mark wasn't what he is now. But I mean, even still, I mean, I look back at those posters and I just think like, God, every single person that I got to perform with on here was just doing something brilliant and unique and very much their own style of comedy. That's the thing. I got to see so many styles work out there. People were always doing different things. And it was a never ending excitement. And I lived right across the street from it. So I was there all the time. I would walk there,
that's so
you know? Yeah. I miss it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, now we got all nostalgic.
Well, Alex, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you as a person. I love your comedy. Please keep doing what you do. There's a million other things that we could talk about. I want to, if you'll come back to the show, I'd love to have
Sure.
a return appearance, and because I want to talk about Crave too. Well, let's just talk about Crave a little bit before you go.
Sure. No. I'm happy to talk about it.
You have you created from the ground up, and it's become, you know, one of LA's most you know, treasured performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I grew up throwing parties. When I was in college, we always threw house parties and things like that. And when I moved to LA and started doing comedy, I started doing a show on the roof of my house, and it was totally free. And just 100 people would show up. We built a stage on the roof, and they would just drink and smoke joints, and we would just have great comedians up there. And I mean, again, dude, legendary comedians were up there. Kyle Kinane, Eric Andre, Melissa Villesenor, Brody Stevens. I mean, I can go on and on and on about the people that performed on the roof of my house. And it was just a special thing for these people that were here. These they weren't recorded. There was no tickets. You just showed up to this happening and people just had a blast. And when I got shut down by the police and the fire department, after a year of doing it, we got 10 shows out of it. There's nothing to be ashamed of by any means. I was like, how do I grow this thing more? Somebody took me to an after hours party at like a Burning Man warehouse, and they had this beautiful stage. And I was so into like going out all night and dancing till the break of dawn. And I was like, man, what if you combined comedy first and get everybody in a good mood? They're laughing, they're just having a great time together, they're opening themselves up, they're drinking a little bit, and then afterwards we just turn it into an epic fucking party. We're gonna have DJs, we're gonna have fire spinners, we're gonna have live painters, we're gonna have like all kinds of weird, we would have sometimes we had a cartoonist or a photographer doing special kinds of photography. We brought in all these kind of weird variety type acts. One time we just had sign spinners, those guys that are out on the street with like at insurance companies. We brought the two of those guys in that were just amazing pros at it, and they just spin all day, and it was, people loved it. And the whole thing was just like, I'm joining my worlds here. I have this comedy world and I have this festival world, and how do I make them more united in an event and not just have it be a party, but have it really be like a themed event that people would show up to and get excited. They can party all night. They can meet new friends. They can do drugs in a place where they're not going to be crucified for it. No one's going to walk up to someone tripping the fuck out and be like, what's wrong with you, dude? Are you having a problem, man? No, they're going to let you fucking have your moment, or, they're going to fuck with you a little, whatever it may be. But either way, I just wanted to create a place where people could truly lose themselves and forget reality and come be whatever the person they wanted to be is, because that's what festivals were teaching me at the time. They were showing me like, hey, you don't need to be, you can be anything you want. You don't need to be afraid of who you are. You want to put on a tail and a unitard and run around in a sparkly outfit with a little wand? Fuck it. Do it. Who cares?
Yes, please.
Yeah, exactly. And so people, I love throwing it. It took so much work because every single one of them, what people don't realize that never got to go, every single one of them was I wrote a one-act play that surrounded the stand-up comedy. So every one of them had a theme, and instead of me hosting the show, I would be a character and I'd have other actors. And we literally, if you put it together without the stand-up comedy, you would just watch an entire one-act play happen from opening to close. And I tried to make them all like have an M. Night Shyamalan style twist and shit like that. I had things like dropping on people from the ceiling, different, like all kinds of crazy props. And it took so much work to get every single one where it needed to be, because I not only had to book a comedy show and a dance party and get all of these things together, but then on top of that, we had to learn a play. And I had to write a play every single time. And what it taught me is that performance can be anything you want it to be. And that if you commit to it, the audience will go on with these outlandish ideas. And you don't need to just put yourself into a category of saying like, this is what comedy is and this is what a party is, or something like that. Either one can be anything you want it to be. And most of the shows were amazing. We always had great crowds. We always sold a good amount of tickets. We always had fun stories and incredible comedians doing it. And so many of my heroes getting to perform. I remember on the second show, we got Dimitri Martin. And I was just like, I literally was like, what the fuck, man? This is already, we got Dimitri? And then like, how did this happen?
Love to perform no matter where they get to do it. I mean,
dude, and they would show up and they'd be like, okay, where the fuck am I? What is this place? Right. Because literally
that's what all my guests here say.
Yeah, what is this place, man? They were spaces built by Burning Man people, and their most creative, ingenuitive people in the world are people that go to these festivals and create worlds that otherwise don't exist. So people, like audience members would show up to a Crave and they would just be like, what fucking planet am I on right now? And I'm like, oh, it hasn't even started yet. Just wait till this party really starts going. And then there'd be like 100, there'd be like anywhere from like 50 to 200 people at the comedy show each time. But then over the course of the night, people would just keep showing up. And by 3 in the morning, you got 400 or 500 people packing this place out, just getting blasted, partying, dancing, doing whatever they wanted to do, as long as it was always in good spirit. I never had to kick anybody out of one once, because everyone understood that you were there to have fun and be respectful and make friends and memories. And I really, really miss doing I had taken a break before the pandemic anyway, because they took so much out of me, and I was getting so busy with other things. But Crave is one of those things where no matter what, I will always keep it around, and I will just find ways to make it bigger and better and have it be its own thing. I always said, like, as it grows, I grow. As I grow, it grows. And I feel that way about everything that I do. It's just, you don't separate yourself. You take parts of yourself, and it all builds into this bigger package. And the more you think about your audience and your customer that you're looking for, the more you will cater to them and not think about, is this good for me? You think, is this good for the show or the party or the person that's paying money to come and see it? Is this benefiting them? And the more you think like that, you just can't lose after a while.
That's so incredible.
Thanks, man.
What an astounding thing that you helped create, that you helped birth, to bring such an awesome thing into the world. That's pretty amazing.
And it was 100% illegal, by the way. It was was super illegal every single time, to the point where, like, every once in a while, like, it would get really scary with, like, hey, Alex, cops are here. You got to go deal with this shit. And I'd be like rolling dicks to be 2 in the morning. I'd be like, well, my part of the show's over. I already performed and stuff. I'm just partying now. And they'd be like, all right, go talk to these cops. I'd be like, is there a problem, officer? With my eyes just like, and they're just like, people selling alcohol in there? I'd be like, no. I don't know. It's past time. No, of course not. This is not a legal establishment. What do you mean? But to me, it's like, you risk and you reward. And people that came to those shows and the people that got to do those shows knew they were part of something special. And I think, if nothing else, if you can leave a concert, a comedy show, anything, feeling like you are fulfilled and that you had a great experience, then our work here is done, and we did what we were supposed to do.
That's what it's all about.
Always.
I had the great pleasure of seeing Melissa Villesenor at the baseball diamond, just like
there.
Yeah. What? You were there?
I was there.
Were you?
I was there. Oh my God. Yeah. That's so funny. Wait, the one that she did like 3 months ago?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep.
When the sprinklers went off at the end of her set?
Yes, that ended her set.
I was there. She called me out in the middle of the show, and she actually talked about the rooftop for a second. She was like, you got to bring that back, Alex. Now's the time to do it. And it was, dude, I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. She had done like exactly an hour. She's so great. She's so personable. She's so funny. She's so silly. And then when those sprinklers went off, it was like, God just gave you the light. Like, like that was your key. And she ran out of there. Her backpack, her speaker was getting soaked. I was like,
under her arms. Yeah, that was.
Oh, that's so. I love that we're both
she got
there.
A full hour in. Every moment of it was hilarious. She was just as delightful as you would expect her to be. Like, that was my first time, seeing her perform live. And
oh wow,
I already live in North Hollywood, so like it was a less than a 2-minute trip for me. And I mean, there was no way I was going to miss it. So.
You know what I love about that though so much is that, because you and I don't think we've ever actually met in person. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. No, but we have probably been in the same place at the same time countless times.
I may have even seen you perform at Meltdown, and just like, because I saw so many incredible performers, on that stage. I don't know how many shows I saw there at the theater over the years. So It's totally possible. Will you please send Melissa a text and ask her to be on the show, because I tried to get her on the show and no
response. I mean, she's a bona fide superstar at this point, dude.
Gal. She's a busy gal, and she started her own podcast too. I forgot what it's called already, but yeah, she's a delight. She's an absolute.
Yeah, I really love her.
Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. I really appreciate it, Alex.
My pleasure, dude. Thanks for having me on here. This was so fun to talk about, especially with someone who actually like is an AGT fan and stuff like that really understands that shit. Yep. But also, thanks for bringing up Crave, because I don't get to talk about that much anymore. And it really, especially in this day and age when there's no feasible way of doing it, it's really nice to think about like the work that we did and the parties that we threw and just the epic nights where I would literally get there at 3 p.m. to set up and I wouldn't leave till 8 a.m. the next morning. And it was just, I mean, talk about experiences. I saw some shit go down at those. When I come back, I'll tell you some exclusive Crave stories that are a little too hot for TV in a lot of ways.
You've got my number. Text me.
You know I do.
That's incredible, man. Thank you so much. I know people can find you at your official website, alexcomedy.com.
Hoopercomedy.com.
Hoopercomedy.com. And where else can they find you across social media?
Super easy. I'm at Hooper Hair Puff. So my last name, Hooper Hair Puff. And honestly, if you just Google me, I think my website and my social medias are the very first things that come up. I'm pretty sure if you Google me, or maybe that's just if I Google me, because I'm one of those losers that Googles himself every once in a while. But yeah, I'm super easy to find, and just reach out. I try to respond to any messages and things like that. I'm always happy to have people ask questions and just tell me whatever they want to see from me. I'm open. I'm an open book, guys. Come get me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex.
You're very welcome.
He's got his tongue hanging out. He's so comfy.
It's so long he can't put it away. So
I have that problem too.
But yes, Devlin, thank you very much for having me. This was an absolute blast, and hopefully we will get to see each other in the real world sooner rather than later.
Someday. Yep.
Someday.
Have a great night, man. Take care.
See you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Remember, you can follow me, as always, across all the places at Devlin Wilder. That's DEVLINWILDER. And Faux Real at Faux Real Pod. That's FAUXREALPOD. That's it for this one. See you on the next one.